Okay, wait, what? Oh, they're not real? Oh, who knew?
Didn't you want me to say welcome to everyone? Yes, please, if you wouldn't mind, let me just say greeting Shabbat Shalom, so, and then I'll hand it over to you. If
Is that okay with you?
Awesome. Wonderful.
Good evening
All right.
and
Shabbat
welcome.
Shalom. Good evening.
Shabbat Shalom. This is a long-awaited Women's Shabbat service, so thank you for coming, and hopefully everything will go just the way it's supposed to. Thank you.
All right. That's a positive attitude, isn't it? Come on, folks. All right, Shabbat Shalom. Wonderful to have you all here on this special Women's Shabbat that we're having tonight. For those who don't know me yet, my name is Herbert Stefan TV. Also for those folks at home, hello, good to see you tonight. If you want to write in the chat, greet everybody, wish them a Shabbat Shalom. And of course, also here, if you want to reach out to your neighbors, just wishing them a Shabbat Shalom if you haven't done so. Please take a moment for that.
Shabbat Shalom.
And it's my pleasure here tonight. Cantor's on vacation, much needed vacation, and so I'm here tonight with control soloist Jill Goodman. We're going to be leading the service together, and of course Debbie Japp is going to be accompanying us on the piano. All right, and this special Shabbat is under the motto, the modern woman, the modern Eshet Chayil, which is a very traditional piece. I don't want to talk too much about it because we will hear about it throughout the service. And as an opening reading, I'd like to invite Marlene Montola up here on page 2. And everybody, I hope, has a pamphlet specially made for this Shabbat.
There was a last-minute change, and I will not be reading this poem because it'll be coming up in the later part of the evening.
But she said it very poetically, so we are all good. All right. And there you go. Well, for our opening song, Hini Matovu Manaim, or rather, Jill wants to talk a few words about this one because she actually rearranged it and wrote the lyrics for that.
So I took a little artistic license with the translation of Hine Matov, but I thought it was the right message for this. So please join me. How good and pleasant to see you together. How good and pleasant to see you again. How good and pleasant to see you together. Our sisters and our brothers all in harmony. How good and pleasant to see you together. How good and pleasant to see you again. How good and pleasant to see you together. Our sisters and our brothers all in harmony. Harmony, harmony. Our sisters and our brothers all in harmony. Harmony, harmony. Our sisters and our brothers all in harmony. How good and pleasant to see you together. How good and pleasant to see you again. How good and pleasant to see you together. Us, our sisters and our brothers, all in harmony.
All right, Yasha Koach, beautiful piece. All right, and before we are moving into the lighting of the Shabbat candles on page 4, we have a couple of readers who are going to be sharing a piece of that. And first of all, I'd like to invite Lisa Sobel. Mm-hmm. And of course, you can see on page 4, if the other readers also would make their way up already, Linda Brown, Maddie Plumer, Barney Becker, and please.
Our one touch of Sabbath light begins at the edge of time, honoring the women who came before us, connecting us to a rich tradition. It gently moves from woman to woman, sister to sister. We are one humanity, the strength of many women. We begin with one pair of candles which ignite the next.
Our one touch of Shabbat light energizes us with the power of its glow, drawing our hopes together, empowering us to speak out for justice. It gently moves from woman to woman, sister to sister, gradually illuminating the world.
Our one touch of Sabbath light invites us to a day of reflection, rejuvenating our souls and gathering our strength. It gently moves from woman to woman, sister to sister, inspired to live deeper and stronger.
Our one touch of Sabbath light glows on diverse faces, stretching across the globe, some of us born, all of us choosing. It gently moves from woman to woman, sister to sister. We come together to make light. Our one touch of Shabbat light connects, empowers, rejuvenates, and inspires us. Respecting the past, excited for the future, we continue our work, gently moving from woman to woman, sister to sister, each with her light, as women of Reformed Judaism, Temple Beth sisterhood.
The blessing itself is on page 5. That Lisa Sobel and Linda Brown are going to be leading us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to light
The light of Shabbat.
Amen. Yasher koach.
Let there be joy.
Let there be light.
Let there be peace. Let there be Shabbat.
There you go. Yasher koach. Thank you. All right. And as we're continuing to welcome in Shabbat, we are on page 6 for Lechadodi. Please follow along as Jill will be leading us through this song. Lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Shabbat nekabela, lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamo v'zachor b'dibur echad, hishmi'anu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, l'shem ultiferet v'litila. Shabbat nekabela, lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'lecha, ki im lekol ha'melacha, kirosh mikedem nesucha, sov ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. Shabbat nekabela, lechadodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki ba'oi uri, 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 shir daberi, kevod Adonai alayim nikra. Shabbat nekabela, lechadodi Please have a seat. Continue on our welcome wagon on page 7 with Shalom Aleichem, music set by Debbie Friedman as we welcome in the Shabbat angels.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bachuni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seidchem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yitgadol v'yitkadash mirabah.
Amen.
Be'almat yivrach hiruti ve'amlich malchuti b'chaychon u'v'yomechon u'v'chaydichot Beit Yisrael bagala bagala u'vizman kariv ve'yimeru
Amen.
Yehi shmira b'mevarach ve'alam olal me'al maya yitbarach yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnasi v'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal shemid kudisha Laila min kol bechata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma ve'imeru.
Amen. All right, we're about to turn to the Baruch Hu, our call to worship. For this, please rise. East is about the back right corner of the yard. So if you're looking at that direction there for these.
Lai 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 Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie.
Please have a seat. For Creative Marifa Ravim, I Lift My Eyes, page 9. I'd like to invite up Jenny Doctor to lead us in that.
Thank you. Thank you. I lift my eyes, and I see the glory of the universe, creation in all its shapes and sizes, and colors and forms. I lift my heart, and I feel the pulse of life around me, the beat of our other hearts, the tempo of the days, the nights, the seasons, the rhythms of the universe. My soul rises, and I am filled with the joy of discovery, the thrill of living, with the knowledge of divine creation, with its blessings of love.
Thank you. For Creative Ahavat Olam, the voice of a woman, I'd like to invite up Suzanne Leichman.
The voice of a woman is immodest. The voice of a woman chants Torah. The voice of a woman demands justice. The voice of a woman comforts a child. The voice of a woman sings with joy. The voice of a woman teaches the ignorant. The voice of a woman prays with devotion. The voice of a woman is only silent when listening.
Speaking of raising our voices, for the Shema, I'd like to invite up ATF Harbor, page 10.
Thank you. Shh. Listen. Shh. You have to listen to hear. Shh. Can you hear? Can you hear the surprise and delight in Sarah's laughter? Can you hear the joy and pride in Miriam's song? Can you hear the strength and wisdom in Deborah's clear judgments? Can you hear the warmth in your grandmother's voice? In your grandmother's voice calling you to the Shabbos table. Can you hear your mother's love as she recites the Sabbath blessings? Can you hear your daughter's clear, high voice chanting as she joins the circle of women? Can you hear your sister's earnest prayers as they share their goodness and courage? Can you hear your granddaughter's newborn cry as she joins the Jewish chorus? Can you hear your own heart beating, reaching to join the song of praise for Adonai? Shh, can you hear? Can you hear the women who came before you? Can you hear the women who are yet to come? Can you hear us all as one? Shh, listen, hear, Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam vaed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Please have a seat. For the after, I'd like to invite up Barbara Aqua.
This prayer is the Jewish response to God's love. God shows love by giving us the Torah and mitzvot. We return God's love by studying Torah, observing mitzvot, and most importantly, by passing on the tradition to our children. The Ahafta teaches us that the potential for mitzvot surrounds us wherever we are, at home or out in public, on the road or in our communities. It also communicates that our days and nights, our times of solitude, our times with families and friends are all opportunities for mitzvot. Every moment can be lifted up with holy action. Ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha v'hayu hadavarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavah hayom al levavecha v'shinatan levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha v'itecha uv'lachtacha v'derech uv'shavkacha uv'kumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha Vayu latotafeot beinenecha uktavtam amizzo beitecha uvisharecha. Man, Taru, Asitem Ekontatai, Gintem Kadoshim Lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher Hotzitihem Me'eretz Mitzrayim Liot Lachem Lelohim Ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem Emet. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For creative reading for Medve Munah, page 13, I'd like to invite up Carrie Geffen.
Sacred memories flood our dreams.
we awake, awestruck. We are explorers with an exquisite vision to become God's soul mirrors, reflecting dignity, justice, beauty. Divine sparks will spill forth from our hands. We create with compassion and trust. We breathe life into moments of peace. Our hearts respond with whispers of hope. Our children learn to weave tapestries of dream memory, and God weeps tears of relief and joy as we affirm our shared unbroken promise, our covenant of the Spirit.
Speaking of weaving dreams, we have Debbie Friedman's Miriam's song. Jill will lead us in that as well. It's on the bottom of the page. And I see there's a lot of tambourines and timbrels around, so feel free to partake in those as you're about to be crossing the sea, led by Miriam.
And I wanted to say, especially because you have masks on, when you move, it really brings community. So move a lot. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who we exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced all night long. And Miriam was a weaver of unique variety. The tapestry she wove was one that sang our history. With every strand and every thread she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit, she dances toward the light. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who we exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced all night long. When Miriam stood upon the shores and gazed across the sea, the wonder of this miracle she soon came to believe. Whoever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would pass to freedom and march to the promised land. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one who be exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced all night long. And Miriam the prophet took her timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her just as she had planned. And Miriam raised her voice in song, she sang with praise and might. We just lived through a miracle, we're going to dance tonight. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 yai lai lai lai. Mi hamocha baili Madonai. Mi hamocha neda bakodesh. Dora tehilot osefele. Dora tehilot osefele. Malachutecha ra'uvanecha. Okei ayam livnei Moshe o Miriam. Zeili anu ve'amaru. Zeili anu ve'amaru. Adonai imlo le'olam ha'ed. Adonai imlo le'olam ha'ed. Lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 lai. All that dancing was just fabulous.
That's some action service here. Yasha Koch, ladies. All right, we are now turning to Vishamu. The children of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat as an everlasting covenant. And this is a new version, a South African version, that Jill is going to teach and lead us in.
Veshameru v'nei Yisrael Israel et ha-Shabbat. Lasot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. And actually, it's new to Rabbi Tiwi, but I have sung it here before.
I was going to say, hearing all you guys chiming in, wonderful.
I
so
grew up
check
with
out.
this one. So.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Has some Sephardic vibe going on here. Beautiful. Thank you. Nice. All right. Before we enter into the Tefillah, our standing prayer, we have 2 more readings. And I would like to invite up Maddie Pimentel-Diaz for the first one and Leslie Bright for the second one. And I think we might have a sub for a sub here tonight. So thank you very much for that. Please, Marlene.
Thank you. I'm sorry that Madeline couldn't make it tonight. At the tent of the meeting, finally, after long work, physical and mental, I come to the opening of the tent. I know, God, but do you know what this work means? You have always been in my thoughts, always in my mind, and even sometimes even my aching back. As I worked and struggled on your behalf, let the opening of the tent encourage the opening of the text, and let me, your humble daughter, enter and not hold back.
Oh, thank you. I'm on it.
Thank you.
There you go.
I am a Jew. I am a Jew who is a woman, and I pray. I braid the dough for the challah and bless the Shabbat candles, and I wrap myself in the talit I have woven, and I pray. I am a link between those who stood at Sinai and those who survived the Shoah, those who would dream and build futures, and those who would gather the shattered shards of glass to heal the world. And I pray. I am a woman, and I am a Jew. Who is a Jew? Who is a Jew?
God, thank you. All right. It's about to enter into the core of the Amidah on page 17. Please rise as you're able. And again, we're facing the southeast corner of the, or east corner, of the courtyard.
Adonai sefata tiftach ufi yagid tehillatcha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGibor, HaGibor v'Hanora, Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מוריד הטל, מחלקי חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סופק נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לך חיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללו הסלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Please have a seat. Page 19, and for the closing prayer for the Amidah, the prayer of peace, I'd like to invite up Terry Grayson one more time, please.
Giver of peace, teach us to see ourselves in the face of the other, that we may learn to be patient with fault, generous in love, sparing with anger. Help us to understand that our little lives are potent with great good, that we are healers in your image, that reaching out in need of you to others more in need, we find you near. Give us the grace simply to be kind. Then peace must surely come to dwell among us, among us.
We now take a moment of silence for the prayers of our heart. As we come back from that, Jill is going to be leading us in the English version of Yule Ratzon on the bottom of the page.
May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, be acceptable to you. Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Lord, my rock and redeemer. Amen.
And now it's my pleasure to invite up Barney Becker, who's the Sisterhood Vice President, who's going to be delivering the Devar Torah for the night.
My grandmother, Faye Rothstein of blessed memory, died at the age of 97. She was a remarkable woman, a woman of the greatest generation. She gave birth to my mother on her own while my grandfather was serving in World War II. She always worked outside of the home, although she was most famous for her cooking, especially of Jewish favorites, and her ability to captivate a crowd with her storytelling and somewhat off-color sense of humor. At her funeral, we read a famous Jewish psalm, Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor. The version we read went something like this. What a precious find is an Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor. Her worth is far beyond rubies. Her husband puts his confidence in her and lacks no good thing. She is good to him, never bad, all the days of her life. She opens her hand to the needy and extends her hand to the poor. She is clothed with strength and splendor. She looks to the future cheerfully. She opens her mouth with wisdom. Her tongue is guided by kindness. She oversees the activities of her household and never eats the bread of idleness. Her children come forward and bless her. Her husband praises her and says, "Many women have done superbly, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a God-revering woman is much to be praised. Extol her for the fruit of her hand. Wherever people gather, her deeds speak her praise." This is a lovely tribute to my grandma, and yet after it was read, I turned to my husband Peter and said, "Please do not read this at my funeral." Fast forward to now, when Marlene asked me to give this devar on the modern Esher Chayil, I jumped at the chance to explore this topic more fully. What was it that made me react the way I did to this poem? Where does it come from? There are multiple courses, books, and even TED Talks written about this one poem. It is the closing section of King Solomon's Book of Proverbs, considered to be a description of the ideal vision of Jewish womanhood, or at least upper-class Jewish womanhood. It is an acrostic, with each sentence starting with a letter in the Hebrew alphabet in order. In many religious communities, it is sung every Friday night as a tribute to the matriarch of the house. It is sometimes read at funerals, like at Grandma's. I quickly learned that there are various translations and shortened versions of this psalm, often altered by men to reflect different values and expectations of women. Some scholars believe that this language was purposely edited over time to reflect a more passive vision of a woman, a more pious and feminine woman. This is one of those times I wish I could read those texts myself in the original Hebrew and evaluate it. Indeed, I have found the more full version of the text has a very different take on the woman of valor, including the following sometimes skipped lines. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands, she plants a vineyard. She girds her loins with strength and makes strong her arms. One interesting note is the usual translation of the most famous line, "Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a God-revering woman is much to be praised," is thought to originally be translated as, "But a wise and successful woman is to be praised." Likewise, the phrase, "She looks to the future cheerfully," has been translated in the past as, "She laughs at the future." Think about that right now. Like the idea of laughing at the future in 2021, it's just very powerful to me. And instead of ending, "Wherever people gather, her deeds speak her praise," it ends, "Give her the fruits of her hands and let her works praise her in the gates." I'm struck what a different vision of womanhood this reflects, this powerful and empowered, entrepreneurial woman of valor, but also one who rarely sleeps and serves others at all times. This got me thinking about the notion of the ideal woman over time, l'ador vador, over multiple waves of feminism, or even the purpose of describing the ideal for over one half of humankind. I am a member of Generation X. Growing up, I enjoyed the fruits of the labor of the women before me. These earlier generations fought hard for women to have opportunities outside of the home, basic things like going to college, family planning, being eligible for most careers. Women were not legally given the right to have a credit card in their own name until a year after I was born. I am so grateful to these women for paving the way. But my generation was left with a really messy reality. I remember the commercial when I was a kid. "I can bring home the bacon, fry it up in a pan, and never let you forget you're a man." With apologies for such a trafe reference, the message was very clear to me as a kid. The ideal woman has it all and does it all. While working outside the home is common and often financially necessary, the supports for working mothers, especially in the US, are a bit of a disaster. Many working moms make up for this discrepancy on sheer will alone: lack of sleep, absence of self-care, always feeling like you're expected to work like you have no children and parent like you have no other job. This is where my mindset was in 2018 at my grandma's funeral. What was it that made me react the way I did? Well, there were a few things beyond the obvious framing of the woman's value as being dependent upon her husband. This notion of the ideal woman being defined by her self-sacrifice hit a nerve with me. I think that the thing that upset me was the sentence, "She never eats the bread of idleness." You see, I suffer from chronic pain, and while I work really hard to live a productive life, the bread of idleness is something I eat fairly frequently, with a little bit of guilt.
I'm so thankful I have a partner who supports me through those times, but it would be a farce to read this piece when talking about me. Does that mean I'm not an ideal woman? So let's return to the modern woman of valor. I started thinking about the generations coming after me, my students and staff at UW-Tacoma. These women, to be honest, do not take the same crap that we took when I was young. Mental health is discussed openly and honestly, and work-life balance is not just given lip service. The recent uprising by fierce female athletes like Naomi Osaka, Simone Biles, and Allison Felix demonstrates this well. We've also been widening not just the definition of the ideal woman, but what it means to be a woman. Woman and mother are no longer used synonymously. The distinct experiences of LGBTQ women, women of color, disabled women, those who care for others and those who need care themselves, and those with lots of different paths in life, are starting, slowly, to be elevated and valued. Traditionally feminine characteristics like vulnerability, caregiving, and homemaking are slowly being considered less trivial, but actually they are essential and, frankly, not as easy as they seem. More important is choice and agency, the ability to shape your own destiny and define your own version of valor. I am so excited to see how future generations of women change the world and how our vision of the Eshet Chayil continues to expand beyond the false dichotomy of the pious homemaker or the have-it-all superwoman. In the end, I think none of us and all of us are women of valor, ideal women in our own way, and we all deserve the fruits of our hands and for our works, whatever gifts we bring to this world, to be praised in the gates. Thank you so much to Marlene for organizing this beautiful service, for asking me to do this, to the Women of Sisterhood for your friendship and support. We truly are stronger together. Much love and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. All right, Yasha Koa, beautiful. It's always wonderful to bring like tradition and older reads of it to the modern day, so this came together beautifully. Thank you very much. All right. In the midst of our Shabbat rest, though, we also take a moment to think of those who need of healing, of body, mind, and soul. If there's anybody of whom you're thinking, also you folks at home, please feel free to put their names in the chat. I'm going to go around in a moment for folks to share these names. Before we move into the Mishe Berach, it's on page 20. Yes.
Antoinette Williams.
Zahava Sternberg.
Oh, there's more here.
Sally Bloom King. Jim Kula. Jim Kula.
Yep.
And
T.T. Julianne Carroll.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Rose Beverly.
All right. For them, Mishe Berach, page 20, please join us.
Mishe Berach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Le'imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishe Berach Imotenu Mikor HaBracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal
page 21 for the Aleinu. Please rise as you're able and we face back towards the east one more time.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גאולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Please have a seat. We now move to those who are no longer with us. In honor of this special Sisterhood Shabbat, I'd also like to read a list of past deceased Sisterhood presidents before we move into the other names that we have. And we're honoring today the past Sisterhood presidents: Jessie Feist, Rose Sherman, Sylvia Simon, Frida Morris, Maxine Drost, Natalie Fingerud, and Robin Corwin. Is anybody here today who's in a period of mourning, of Shiva or Shloshim, the first 7 or 30 days of mourning? Please rise at this moment. If you want to share with us the names of those that you are commemorating. We also commemorate today the recent passing of Rabbi Richard G. Hirsch, who passed away on August 17. He was a very active rabbi in terms of social action. He was a founding director of the Religious Action Center in Washington, D.C. He laid the foundations for the movement's social justice agenda. He befriended Reverend Martin Luther King and marched with him in Selma, represented the Jewish community, and eulogized him in Washington, D.C. at the memorial. He was also very active in terms of establishing relationships with the Savage Jewry and to help them be freed from there and to express themselves freely as Jews. So we also keep him in our thoughts and prayers. And to all the mourners, we say together, Hamakom yinachem etchem b'toch she'ah avalei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May God console you with all who mourn in Zion and Jerusalem. And we move on to the yahrzeits of this week, the anniversary of death. If there's anybody who's marking a yahrzeit this week, please rise at this moment. The names of those who we're commemorating from our community: Kurt Blau, Bernard Brodman, Ray Brown, Betty Buchbinder, Mora, Sylvia Cohn, Sylvia Feinberg, Morris Fink, Max Finkelstein, Ruth Fisher, Dorothy Friedman, Benjamin Green, Michael Hammerschmidt, Sarah Hodes, David Horenstein, Stephen Jaffe, Byron Cabran, Pauline Kleiner, Joseph Kodich, Millicent Landau, Herbert Long, Janet Lingenfelter, Rosa Loeb Hecht, Jordan Melvin Meyer, Sandra Moore, Linda Nelson Olson, Sidney Newman, Robert Nelson Peckham Jr., Enid Ravitz, Rose Rome, Abraham Rothstein, William Sturman, Joe Tatt, and Joseph Wallace. Is anybody else whose name was not mentioned yet that you would like to add to this? The same, of course, for folks at home, if you want to add names in the chat. feel free to do so. For all them about to recite the Mourner's Kaddish, it's on the bottom of page 22. Please rise as you're able. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabba, be'alma divrach yirotei, ve'yamlich malchotei, b'chayichon u'v'yomichon, u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv, v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba mevarach, le'alam u'lalmei almaya. יתברך וישתבח, יתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. זיכרונם לברכה, may their memory be a blessing. Please have a seat. Before we're moving into a special ceremony that we're going to be having in a moment, I have another poem that we would like to be reading, which is the merger poem on page 23. And Judy Kay will read that to you.
At the end, we'll sing the bolded lines together. And instead of saying both men and women, we're going to say all people. And then all that has divided us will merge. And then compassion will be wedded to power. And then softness will come to a world that is harsh and unkind. And then all people will be gentle. And then all people will be strong. And then no person will be subject to another's will. And then all will be rich and free and varied. And then the greed of some will give way to the needs of many. And then all will share equally in the earth's abundance. And then all will care for the sick and the weak and the old. And then all will nourish the young. And then all will cherish life's creatures. And then everywhere will be called Eden once again. Please join. And then all people will be gentle. And then all people will be strong. And then all will be so varied, rich, and free. And everywhere will be called Eden once again. And then all who will be so varied, rich, and free, and everywhere will be called Eden once again.
Right. I'd like to invite Medi Pluma one more time to introduce our special guest tonight.
For the short people. Okay, before I introduce our special guest, we have, I hope I got through this without tissues, but it's with great sadness that we have to bid adieu to these three fantastic Sisterhood board members, one who could not be here tonight, and in addition, an additional person who have been very helpful in the Judaica shop. Carrie Geffen has been our treasurer for 6 years. She's kept us current with all of our bookkeeping, accounting needs, and has always been ready to share our financial statements when needed. In fact, she spent this past year for so many months mentoring Marlene Matola as she takes over our new treasurer's role. A very consuming job, and Carrie additionally has led the Mishlok Benot, our fundraiser for the past 8 years, our Purim fundraiser. She makes the job seem so easy, but if we broke it down, there were so many organizing parts to this event. She kept these responsibilities going, also co-chaired Sippin' in the Sukkah event 2 years ago, and always signs up for every sisterhood event and activity she's able. We'll miss her vim and vigor as she pursues her next chapter in her life as a high school guidance counselor. Carrie, would you come up? Thank you, Carrie. Thank you. Yeah. Let's do an elbow. Okay. We're doing elbow bumps tonight. I'm a hugger, but we're going to do elbow bumps. Another amazing woman is our own Lisa Sobel. Besides the many volunteers jobs that she's done throughout the years at the temple, she has managed the Judaica shop for 14 years. She not only orders, keeps precise inventory, but she oversees marketing, communication, sets up the shop to keep it current throughout the years, beginning with the High Holy Days, all through the way the year through Passover, as well as providing all the Shabbat needs. She's trained a group of shop volunteers and set up a volunteer schedule to ensure the shop is open for those members and non-members who are interested in browsing or purchasing an item. She has taken phone orders, and she has been a lifesaver through the pandemic. She created 2 virtual shopping events this year, one before Hanukkah and the other before Passover. We will miss Lisa, but she's also now mentoring Iris Fudel and Rivka Faree, who couldn't be here tonight, and they will be busy with learning all the workings of the Judaica shop. We're happy for Lisa's next chapter of her life as she travels with her husband, Randy, and she is busy with many grandchildren. Come on up, Lisa. Let's get her in. Our last board member who is leaving, and then we have one more person to honor, is Rachel Hayden, who could not be with us tonight. She was our communications chair. She has committed to this job for the past 3 years. She's a fabulous writer and has helped with many publications, Sisterhood Communications, in her 3 years. In addition, she was the editor for WRJ's, which is Women of Reform Judaism's monthly newsletter, the Highline. Whenever she's been asked to do a task, Rachel has always been there to help. She has moved out of the area, but she hopes to be active, continuing to be active in sisterhood. So let's give a cheer to Rachel. And last but not least is someone who is not in our sisterhood board, but it was Linda Brown, who assisted Lisa Sobel in the Judaica shop. She did the books for the last 4+ years. She volunteered in the shop for many years, and in addition, she provided backup for Lisa when she couldn't be here. In addition, Linda has helped with holiday setup, special events, and as Lisa has stated, she went along with my crazy ideas and was just a super friend and support always. Finally, Linda also helped Lisa build out the new music room when the Judaica shop was moved. As Lisa stated once again, I got her to paint with me and carry out all my crazy ideas in decorating the room. It was super fun to work with Linda on this project. Let's give Linda Brown a big hand. Okay, I'm looking for my notes here. I'd now like to introduce Debbie Bramer, who will be doing installation. Debbie Bramer is our area director, and she's been my right-hand person there whenever I need advice on anything. She and her husband, David, of 38 years, live in Hillsborough, a suburb of Portland, Oregon. They have one daughter who lives in L.A. They have been members of Congregation Beth Israel in Portland, where Debbie started working on the Youth and Education Committee in 1989 when their daughter started religious school. That involvement sparked her interest in sisterhood, and the rest is history. She has chaired numerous committees over the years, but being the local arrangement chair for the 2012 WRJ Pacific District Convention in Portland, when fellow sisterhood member Ellen Bick became district president, was truly a highlight of her sisterhood connections. Debbie has been a WRJ Pacific District Area Director since 2018, working with sisterhoods throughout the Tacoma-Seattle area and Northern California. And it will be very nice, she says, to continue working with the amazing women of Temple Bethel Sisterhood. We're so happy to have you tonight.
Thank you, Maddie. I'm happy to be here. It's no rain. It's nice. We're outside. We're doing pretty good. So Shabbat Shalom. It's my honor to participate in this evening's Temple Bethel Sisterhood installation. This evening is a sacred time. We are joined together to express our gratitude to the outgoing and the incoming board of Bethel Sisterhood. The outgoing board members remain a part of sisterhood and the congregational community, while the incoming members together work to continue and build and strengthen the organization. So, Maddie and I are working on two different pages here. These ladies, truly dedicated women, work selflessly, gave their time, inspiration, skills, leadership, making their women's group stronger while helping to continue the foundation of the Bethel Sisterhood. Their hard work, friendship, and dedication is acknowledged. So please accept our appreciation and thank you to each and every one of them. So ladies, Maddie has just said thank you, but as we stand at the installation of the outgoing and the incoming, you are duly discharged of your duties. Thank you. Now I ask the incoming board to please come forward when I call your name. Maddie Plumer, President. Bonnie Becker, Vice President. Marlene Matola, Treasurer. Donna Riesberg, Corresponding Secretary, who is not here tonight? Okay. Iris Fudel and Rivka Furry Judaica are not here. Barbara Aqua. Adria Farber. And we also have Maddie Pimentel Diaz. No, she's not here. Diaz. Recording, Secretary, and Communications. These are our ladies that are our incoming board for Bethel Sisterhood. Each of you will bring this position your energy, your perspectives, insights, and leadership while continuing the beauty of sisterhood's Jewish traditions. You'll share your wisdom and strengthen the connections within your sisterhood, your congregation, and the community. As you take the oath of this position, be proud of what brought you to this point and passionate about your new position. Know that you are a role model to other women, to daughters, and to granddaughters, and to your fellow sisters. So I'm going to ask you to recite the oath, and I think it's at the top of your, do you want to share my copy there? So if you don't mind, if you'll please recite the oath together.
I do solemnly pledge to perform impartially and consistently and in accordance with the Constitution of WRJ
and the bylaws of Temple Beth Sisterhood, the duties of the office I now assume.
Thank you. I understand we have some tokens of appreciation for you also, so I'm going to hand these out quickly. There we go. And then I'm going to continue with the rest of our conversation briefly. You're very welcome. I'll hold that one. Thank you. I'd like to, pardon?
Can you sit down?
No. Almost.
Nice try.
Just wait. Almost. I would like to share a thought from Covenant of the Generations. Many of us have read those books and know many of the items that are in there. So, my sisters, I'll pass on that one. Challenge me when I am too safe.
We want to hear everybody what you have to say. That's wonderful.
I have a good voice, trust me, but I'll use this.
Thank you.
So I'm going to try this one again. My sisters, challenge me when I am too safe. Enlighten me when I am confused. Encourage me when I fear to fail. Champion me when I stumble. Support me when I grieve. And bless me with your love. Ladies, you are now the official board of Bethel. You have been installed. May you go and work fervently in all your energy. You're amazing. I always like this sisterhood, so I plan on hanging out with you guys more often as we get things straightened out when we don't have to spend our whole time with that. So you may go ahead and have a seat, and I'll finish up my last thoughts for you. Careful when you're walking. There they all are. So, okay, to everyone that has been installed this evening, on behalf of WRJ Pacific District and myself, I extend a heartfelt mazel tov to each and every one of you, and the many of you that will continue in leadership. I hope that it is rewarding, successful, meaningful, and filled with laughter and joy. May you go from strength to strength. Mazel tov.
Simon tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, Simon tov, Simon tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, Simon tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, Simon tov, Yehelanu, 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 Ulechol Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael.
Yasher Koach and Mazel Tov. Thank you. All right. And I would like to invite up Maddie one more time for the announcements for the day. Got a lot going on tonight. Oops, there.
This is my last time, I promise. Okay, let's get those announcements here. Okay, I'll try to make this brief, but they're really not brief. Torah study tomorrow morning at August 21st at 9 a.m. The Shabbat Shalom had the link to that. Upcoming events, Hafdalah tomorrow night, Saturday, August 21st at 7:30. There's also the link to get to that in the Shabbat Shalom. On Sunday, very important day, is a Spiff It Up day from 9 to 3 at Temple Bethel. Come one, come all. We need lots of people to get the building and the grounds to be sparkly. Returning after a long hiatus, our temple would appreciate some TLC. Volunteers are just needed to do this. So please, I think I have my pages all mixed up here. Please contact Janie, Doctor, if you need any more information for this. Yes. Okay, or Lynn Spellman. Sorry about that. For the High Holy Days, weekly update, all must register to attend in-person High Holiday services. The deadline to register is Friday, August 27th, and it's required to attend in-person services. Seating passes will be mailed out to this, and by now, Temple members and non-members should have received information and instructions about this. Let's go on here, and you will need the seating passes for if you are going to arrive to be in person. In order for us to be able to hold the High Holy Day services outdoors, even indoors to a lesser extent, we will need members of the community to step up and volunteer to help. Help is needed with setting up and tearing down, including audio and visual equipment. Ushers are needed as well as help with security. Please consider helping this year, and if you would be interested, contact Jordan Harris or Aaron Peterson. Right now, adult education registration is open for the fall classes. In addition, if you need more information on that, Carolyn Elsey is the person to contact. Temple Bethel's tech team needs you. So come join the tech team and get your hands dirty with us as we work to bring TBE further into the 21st century. And if you're interested, please contact Aaron Peterson or Jordan Harris. Now is the time to sign up if you're interested to be in the 2021-22 season of Meet, Greet, and Bon Appetit. If you need more information on this, please contact Lynn Spellman about that. Tikkun Olam is requesting donations. The advocates for immigrants in detention services are really needing help, so there is an urgent request. Donations can be made through the Jewish Family Service and the website. For more information on this, Vivian Morrison, but it's the Jewish Family Service website. There are no longer in-print temple directories, so if you are interested in knowing about this, you can contact Rebecca or Olivia, but there's only a TBE directory online. You can find this in your member portal. And that's it, folks. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
All right, so much going on. Thank you so much for these announcements. And we have so many joy celebrations happening on this Shabbat. There's one more that I would like to share with you tonight, and this is the upcoming birthday of Herman Kleiner, who will be turning 100 years on August 24th. And also hope he's tuned in tonight from afar. And in honor of this centenary, this wonderful birthday, I'd like to cite a special blessing in his honor. God of days and years, author of life, our times are in your hand. We thank you for the blessing of life and for all that enriches our lives. Here today, we gather in special thankfulness to share in the happiness of Herman Kleiner, who will be turning 100 years. Be with him always as the joy of his life. May he and his family be blessed with health and happiness and the strength to overcome sickness and sorrow. May we have the joy of coming together for many more years, united by mutual reverence and love. Then will our lives be filled with abundance and blessings. And let us say, Amen. Amen. And as we reach this special milestone, we're about to recite the Shechianu together. You know the words. Let's join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Praise you, Adonai, our God, Sovereign of the universe, for giving us life, sustaining us, and enabling us to reach this joyous season. And together, we wish him a very happy Simon Tov and Mazel Tov. Let's join together. Simon Tov, oh Mazel Tov, oh Mazel Tov, oh Simon Tov, Simon Tov, oh Mazel Tov, oh Mazel Tov, oh Simon Tov, Simon Tov, oh Mazel Tov, oh Mazel Tov, oh Simon Tov, Yehelanu, 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 Hu Yehol Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Hu Yehol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael. From our big Mazel Tov. Those of you who want to wish him well, you can find him on your portal in Kaiserslautern. Contact the office. They can give you information how to be in touch with him as well. All right, before we close our service tonight with Tfilat HaDerech, the prayer for the road, very appropriate as you're embarking on a new journey, and the new sisterhood board is as well. A few thank yous. You see them all on page 26. So I want to mention a few of them. Everybody, of course, thanks so much for all that you've been doing here. To our cantori soloist, Jill Goodman, for guiding our songs and ongoing support of the sisterhood. Our accompanist, Debbie Job, of course, for her beautiful piano accompaniment. For Rebecca in the office for helping out with the pamphlet, came together beautifully. She did a lot of work with that, so Yasha Kor as well. And of course to our guest, WIJ Pacific District Area Director Debbie Bramer, for coming all the way from Portland and help us with the installation. Thanks so much. And of course, I'm not done yet. There's so much more to come. It's all good. Of course, all the sister committee, Marlene Motola, Judy Kay, Jill Goodman, one more time, Maddie Plumer, Debbie Bramer, everybody who's been helping out the sisterhood service tonight. Our tech team that we have here on tonight on the soundboard, Jordan Harris, Benjamin Sivan, Bob Garden, Sally Selkin. Thanks so much. And those who helped with the setup and clean up afterwards, Sylvia Fredkin and Larry Schlussel. Thanks so much. And everybody who had a part in the readings. Marlene Motola, Lisa Sobel, Linda Brown, Maddie Plumer, Bonnie Becker, Jenny Doctor, Suzanne Leichman, Adria Farber, Barbara Aqua, Carrie Geffen, Maddie Pimentel-Diaz, Leslie Bright, Ellen Peters, Terry Grayson, Judy Kay, and Ellen Peters. Oh, he's on there twice and stuff or something, so twice the portion. Good job, there you go. Yasha Kor to all, and so many times it takes a village, so thanks everybody for all that is you do making this happen and bringing this together. All right. So for our closing song, as I mentioned, Tfilat HaDerech is on the bottom of page 24. Let's join together with Jill.
May we be blessed as we go on our way. May we be guided in peace. May we be blessed with health and joy. May this be our blessing. Amen. Be our blessing. Amen. 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 this be our blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen.
All right, before we leave, we have one more thing to do, which is the kiddush and the motzi, which you can find on page 25. And for this, I'd like to invite Ellen Peters. There's your double portion coming in.
I can do that all by myself.
Go.
And there's no Bori Prikaf in here. Do I just do that anyway? Like just the blessing over the line? Should I just do that anyway?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. I'm going to do the blessing over the wine first and then do the kiddush.
There you go.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, be'ahav ratzon, hinchilanu, zikaron lemase v'reshit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu v'charta v'otanu kidashta mikol hamim, v'shabbat kadshecha be'ahav ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat. L'chaim.
All right. Enjoy.
Nobody has any.
You're going to have it fast. There you go. Nice. Come on. All right. And the motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. Shabbat shalom.
I'm going to pass this out real soon, but there is more bread on the way out.